Welcome to Time to Press Pause, a podcast for CEOs by CEOs. I'm your host, Ellen Williams, CEO of The Salient Strategist, and today I'm speaking with Beth Meixner. Her distinctive branding, broad networking expanse, and high energy have established her as one of Long Island's most respected and dynamic business leaders. Beth is the founder and CEO of Moxxie Network LLC and founder and executive director of Moxxie Mentoring Foundation, Inc. Together, these two organizations have made Moxxie the most comprehensive women's business community, serving women ages 18 to 80. Welcome to Time to Press Pause, Beth. It's so great to see you.
Yes, Ellen, it's been quite a while since the pandemic put a pause on everything.
It certainly did. So happy to have you here today. First, I want to thank you for all the great work you've done in helping women in business, not just entrepreneurs, but women who are launching careers and looking to better understand what that means and what the business world is all about. So thank you for all the great work you've done. And how many women have gone through your mentoring program?
650 since 2010.
That's incredible. So kudos to you for the concept and for the great success.
Thank you. It takes a village, that's for sure.
I'm really happy you're here today, and I can't wait to hear your Time to Press Pause story.
Great. So when I turned 50, I guess I was going through some kind of crisis, midlife crisis, and I said to myself, I'm not a golfer, but I think I'm on the back 50 of my life. What am I going to do to change my life? What am I going to do to make a difference? I've done a lot in my career. I've had many, many different careers. I was a branch manager of a national company. I was a salesperson. I was even a kitchen designer for a few years. I sold insurance. I had a lot of different careers. And I just thought when I hit 50, it's time for a change. I was at a point in my life where, if not now, when? My husband and I were in a good financial position. So I was able to kind of just quit. I was working for a small graphic design company doing sales and marketing for them. Through my years of working there and doing a lot of networking, and I love networking. I'm a social person, so it's easy for me. Some people hate it. I love it. I feed off other people. So I was doing a lot of networking, and I just wasn't really meeting the people that I felt were the ones I wanted to meet. I wanted to meet senior level business people, women who were decision makers, not necessarily the CEOs, but just nice people, normal, smart, savvy, down to earth women. And I was meeting too many people trying to sell their services, things like that. So while I was still this director of marketing for a company, I started doing some trial events. I thought, let me start my own women's group. And of course, people thought I was crazy because, another women's group? Because back then, a lot of women's groups were around and a lot have come and gone. It's not easy to sustain a women's networking group by itself. So I had a few trial events and there seemed to be a need, a little niche. So in 2008, the fall of 2008, just when the market fell, I quit my job and I started Moxxie Network LLC, which is a member-based networking group for senior level women. And after about a year, 12, 13, 14 months, I started developing a small membership base. We would have events with guest speakers and things like that. And then during the course of my networking, I would see young people, young men and women. You don't really often see young men and women at networking events because they're not senior level enough. They can't be out of the office for 3 or 4 hours at a networking event. And especially for young women, I gravitate for women because I am a woman, and I also have one child, and she's a young woman too. So I always gravitated, and I would feel so bad when I see these young women. They're just lost in this sea of seasoned business professionals. I would be like, I got to help them. I would take them under my wing. I'd introduce myself. I'd bring them around to different people. And I said to myself, we have got to do something about shepherding women, young women into leadership positions. I'm dating myself, but Well, I guess I already did when I said I turned 50
Yes, I think you're past
years
that
ago.
already.
I grew up in the era of Gloria Steinem, Ms.
Hmm.
Magazine, bra burning on the streets of New York City. My mother was a very strong woman who worked. She was the youngest of four children and the only one went to college. Women did not go to college back then, but my mother did. Very strong role model. So I said, gee, there's a need for these young women in their 20s. They need to be helped. I'm going to reach into my membership base of Moxxie Network. I'm going to try to start getting some mentors because I felt my personal answer to the lack of women's leadership was through mentoring. So I'm going to get some of the members of Moxxie Network to become the mentors. I was going to start with the women in their 20s. And I said to myself, I think that's too late. Let's start with the college girls. So if they go through 1 or 2 years of this program, mentored by a seasoned businesswoman and going to networking and business events, they'll have a leg up on the competition. They'll know how to act at interviews. They'll be poised. They'll know how to act in general. They'll start having more confidence in learning basic business skills. And they really will be one step ahead of their competition in college when they're going to interviews. So in 2010, we launched our first college mentoring program called Junior Moxxie. It exists today. It's a very, very big program. We pair up one college student with one seasoned businesswoman for the fall and spring semester. They meet each other in person. Now it's online, of course. They meet each other twice a month. And then Moxxie wants to take some of the burden off the mentors because they're busy women themselves. So we take the students on field trips or we have webinars. So fantastic trips, LinkedIn, Google, Jazz at Lincoln Center, Eyewitness News, CBS News Radio. I mean, you name it, we've been there. New York Yankees. So they're really great experiences. And it teaches the young students that, well, if you want to work at LinkedIn or Google, you don't really have to be a coder. They need English majors. They need mathematicians. They need HR people. They need people like you, right? Every business. And I think college doesn't really prepare them for that. So we kind of fill in the gap from college to career. And then that program very, very well. So I thought, well, now we've got a real big gap between the college students and the women of Moxxie Network. How are we going to fill in that gap? So in 2011, I created another mentoring program for women in their 20s and 30s called Ms. Moxxie, MS, Ms. Moxxie. And it's a group professional development program. We'll have up to 10 young women in each group, overseen by 2 co-mentors. And they meet every 2 weeks and discuss a specific topic in business. So those 2 programs have really been carrying us for many years. And then when the pandemic hit in 2020, I was hearing about all these women being outsourced from the workforce or voluntarily opting out because of family obligations. And we had a board meeting and I said, we've got to do something. We are perfectly situated to help these women. So in 2 weeks, I put together a brand new program called Moving On with Moxxie and opened it up to any woman in job transition. It's a free 10-week online program. We bring in guest speakers each week and we get them ready to re-enter the workforce. So between so the network was doing the mentoring in the beginning, but the mentoring became so vast. In 2012, we actually split them and created the nonprofit called Moxxie Mentoring Foundation, which is a 501c3. So I'm the founder of both Moxxie Network and Moxxie Mentoring Foundation. 95% of my time is spent on the foundation. It's a passion and there's a lot to do, but it's extremely rewarding. All of our volunteers are women, and they are all so rewarded by the experience. I've had mentors that have been with me 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years.
Wow.
That's how rewarding the program is. So it's been quite a journey. I'm still learning, but it's rewarding to see how some of these young women have blossomed, particularly in some of our programs. We've had young women in the programs for up to 5 or 6 years. And when we look at them, myself and our mentors, we are just beaming with pride of how they have blossomed into such successful, compassionate, effective, motivated professionals and future leaders. So we're very, very happy about that.
Oh, you should be. I had no idea how many people that you had been able to mentor. I remember I was a Moxxie member back in the beginning, and obviously we've known each other for a long time. But what was interesting about the story you just told was I heard several different pauses. So you had that big pause. Okay, what am I going to do? I want to do more than what I'm doing now. You found, well, I would say you found your calling,
Mm-hmm.
and then each each new chapter of Moxxie, it felt to me like you took that pause again, you stepped back and said, okay, I'm doing A, but I could be doing B,
Right.
and developed that. And then you were like, okay, I'm doing A and B. I could be doing C, and you develop that. So I think that's an amazing progression, right? So it's not necessarily a single
Right.
time that you press pause where you have the opportunity to grow in multiple different directions when you identify that I can do more than what I'm doing, and I see the opportunity. I'm going to evaluate it and see how I can step into that.
Right. I guess I'm never satisfied. I always feel that no matter how good, it can always be improved, right? Always. I've had many people over the years say to me something, oh, it must be so rewarding now. You finally, you did it. You can sit back and relax. And I say, what? The women are, the world is constantly changing. You've got to keep up. I'm aging, but yet the women we mentor are still the same age. So I've got to stay relevant to these 18, 19, 20-year-olds, even though I'm getting much older. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really important to think of it that way. You don't want to appear as if, you're somebody's grandmother, but it's funny. We talk about a lot of the women in Moxxie and the mentors, and we always say, your kids never listen to you. And although my daughter for the last 10 years has been listening to me, before that, I've mentored 650 young women. Every single one of them would hang on my guidance and advice, but not my own daughter. And that's the difference between being a mother and being a mentor.
Yeah,
It's
I hear you. I have two daughters. To your point, any advice I have about entering the workforce in your 20s, I can age myself too, is, many years ago,
right.
right? And it's not the year 2020 or 2024, right? So what is happening in the world today? You have to stay relevant to be able to give any kind of advice on how to
Mhm.
manage that.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's sometimes I struggle. I'm not that tech savvy, but I don't really have to be as long as I have people around me that are tech savvy. I don't have to do it all. I just have to have the right people around me that can fill in the blanks. That's kind of what I'm working on now, is now I'm going to be starting another chapter as I transition into my retirement years. I'll give it another 2.5, 3 years. I'm not going anywhere
Hmm.
yet. But now it's time to me start thinking about succession planning. Who will be the new me? Who will be the leader of Moxxie? It will take several years of transitioning and succession planning to get it done. I have begun, the board has, and I have been working on it for, I would say, a good year, and we will be in good shape in the next 2.5, 3 years.
I
And then
have
I'll,
no doubt. So you had this press pause at 50, and now you had a second press pause where,
Mhm.
okay, I can't do this forever. And I love that you said I can't do everything,
Right.
because so many of us try. Um, so you can't do it forever. You're preparing for an even another pause, right? So then now once you do succeed, and someone else is running Moxxie, you're going to have an opportunity to create another chapter.
That's what my husband's afraid of. He's like, I'm so afraid you're finally gonna back off Moxie and then you're gonna start something else. You're, you're never gonna be done. I'm like, well, I love working. What can I say? I mean, Do I want to work this hard as I get into my older years? No. But it's still rewarding. And I'm always going to do something. I don't play golf. I don't play pickleball yet. Maybe I will. But I'm just not, I love working women.
Congratulations on your planned exit and continued growth.
If I'm ever really gone. I'll probably be some kind of consultative role, I imagine.
Sure.
In years.
I could imagine as well. Beth, this was really wonderful. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me and sharing your story. I'm sure that the listeners learned a lot about not just Moxxie, but having a little Moxxie too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for the invitation. It was great to see you again, Ellen.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Time to Press Pause. To learn more about Beth Meixner, go to MoxxieNetwork.com. To learn more about me, go to thesalientstrategist.com. And be sure to join us again wherever you listen to your podcasts.